Hey guys, Popular Poplio here, welcome back to some more Pokemon Reborn. Today, we're doing something completely different. We're going to talk about our team that we've used up to this point. As you all know, we've added Pokemon to our team periodically throughout the game. Sometimes a new Pokemon will become available, and Slushy and I would have just immediately agreed that we should add them to the team. And there were other times where we basically needed a new Pokemon in order to overcome whatever boss was holding us up at that time. I really like our team because I think it's representative of how we were able to make it this far in the game, and it's also a culmination of what Slushy and I wanted this playthrough to be like. After a while, we tried to hold back on adding new Pokemon to the team just because our lineup was getting pretty crowded. You can see we're up to about 11 or 13 now. But here's the situation right now. We're approaching the end of our journey. We have 17 of 18 gym badges, and I suspect that things are about to get really rough as we take on that final gym leader and everything beyond that. So I decided that now would be a good time for us to add one last Pokemon to our team. But if I'm going to go through all the effort required to train a new party member, then I think it really should be someone that's really strong that can actually help us in these final battles. I would also like it if I could have a Pokemon that I could rely on to always be just a staple in the party when it's time to do the post-game. I think having a powerful sweeper on hand will be really useful. If you're familiar with Pokemon, then of course you know that there's a classification of Pokemon called Pseudo-legendaries. Pseudo-legendaries are defined by their base stat total, which is always 600, but then there are other things that they all share in common that people know them by. A lot of them are dragon types. They evolve into their final forms at really high levels, and they're usually the strongest Pokemon in their respective regions, except for the legendaries themselves. Pokemon Reborn has been really stingy when it has come to giving us access to these Pokemon. For each and every one of them, we had to do some sort of late game side quest to actually obtain them. We went through all the effort that was required to get these Pokemon, so why don't we actually use one of them? At this stage, I feel like it'd be kind of lame not to. We spent so much time in those side quest episodes just getting them all. So yeah, why don't we actually make that time more worthwhile by actually using one of them? Among these pseudo-legendaries, I have my slight preferences, but ultimately, I don't really think I can make a decision because, for one, I don't know what exactly is coming up in this game, and two, honestly, I really just can't decide. I feel like there are things in favor of all of them. I can't decide myself, so I'm gonna bring you guys in to help me decide. Introducing Choose Your Pseudo-Legends. I'm going to have you guys vote for which one we should use. Using the form linked in the description, you'll be able to submit up to 7 votes for these Pokemon. You can use your votes however you want. You can pile them all on one Pokemon in particular, or you can distribute them among multiple choices. Also, feel free to make your choice based on whatever reason you want. You can pick the one that complements our team the best. You can pick the one that's just going to be the most helpful. You can troll us and choose the one that's going to be least helpful. Or you can just pick your favorite. Literally any reason is valid. I will guarantee you that we will use this Pokemon against the last gym leader. Beyond that, I won't make any guarantees, but obviously it's highly likely that we're going to use this Pokemon for a lot of the late game content, because we're going to need them. Now, I really don't want to influence the vote in any way. Like I said, I have very slight preferences, but overall I want this to be your guys' decision. So, with that being the case, though, I still want to go through each of them just to give them a little tiny review, just to give my very basic preliminary thoughts on what it might be like to use that Pokemon. First, we have Dratini, who evolves into Dragonite. Dragonite would be interesting for a couple reasons. For one, he would be a new flying type, so he would likely replace Dynablade or Braviary as our go-to flying type. Also, this would be my first opportunity to actually utilize his multi-skill ability in an actual in-game playthrough, so that could be interesting. He also has really high physical attack. He has like 130 physical attack, so no doubt he would be very helpful. Next, we have Larvitar, who evolves into Tyranitar. This is a Pokemon that I've literally never used in an in-game playthrough because I've always figured that Sandstream would just be too annoying to actually deal with during a Pokemon playthrough. Now, Pokemon Reborn is a different beast where we could actually utilize Sandstream. It's difficult enough to where you know, it would be warranted to try to take advantage of Sandstream. Also, since we have ability capsules, we can just switch his ability off of that, so yeah, Pokemon Reborn is maybe one of the only games I've played where I would really consider using Tyranitar. We also don't have a rock type yet. Next up is Salamence, similar to Dragonite, he's a flying type. And also, similar to Tyranitar, I forgot to mention this, we can actually utilize Mega Evolution for some of these guys, so that's for Tyranitar and Salamence. Salamence, I think Salamence used to be my favorite Pseudo-legendary, but I've used him so much over the years, I could really go either way on whether or not I use him here in Reborn. He has a good variety of like special moves he can use, so he has that kind of variety you can rely on. No doubt he would also be very helpful. Next is Metagross. He is the only Steel type here. We already have a Steel type on our team, but Klinklang has a very well-defined role in our squad, so I don't think he's going anywhere. I think we have room for 2 Steel types in our lineup. Metagross would also be our first Psychic type. That was one of our big regrets across the whole playthrough, is that we never added a Psychic type to our team. Salamence and Metagross kind of go together just because, as far as I'm concerned, they've always been the 2 of my favorites. I've used them a lot, and I could go either way about using them in Reborn. Next up is Gible, who evolves into Garchomp. Garchomp is like the best known quantity here. Everybody knows what Garchomp does. He spams Earthquake and Dragon Rush, and that's basically it. He's really, really strong though, so obviously he'd be good for our team. We already have a ground type, but not that big of a deal. I think being able to utilize Garchomp would be worthwhile enough to justify that. Next up is Dino, who evolves into Hydreigon. I've never used Hydreigon because he evolved so late in the game. I believe he has the highest evolution level of any Pokemon at 64. So Reborn is definitely a game where you can utilize Hydreigon to good effect. Also, I think it'd be really funny if we had a Hydreigon of our own to fight Lynn's Hydreigon. I think that could be fun. Next up is Goomy, who evolves into Goodra, definitely the least conventional Pseudo-legendary here. It's a pure Dragon type with really high special defense. It's 150 special defense. I think Goodra probably has like the lowest potential for like attacking power, but Reborn is a game where you can get a lot of mileage out of a good tank, so Goodra definitely still has the potential to be very helpful. It also resists a lot of common attacking types like fire, electric, water, and fire, so a lot of potential there. Finally, we have Jangmo-o, who evolves into Como-o. Another Pokemon I've never used. Como-o is weird. He has maybe the most unique typing here, which is Dragon Fighting. And yeah, he has highest physical defense too, which is just kind of unique as far as Pseudo-legendaries are concerned. I wouldn't mind using him. I've never used Como-o before, so I'm down. He also has a really unique signature attack, which is Clanging Scales. And that's all of them. So I have not decided on an end date for the polling. I want to keep it going for a little while. That way I can have a couple episodes of the LP where I can remind everyone that they can go vote. I will give you an advance warning before the poll closes, so you'll see it coming. It won't sneak up on you as long as you watch the LP. You figure it'll have to be before we fight the 18th gym leader, so I don't know how long that will be, but it gives you a reference. When the poll closes, I will keep the results a secret until the next Reborn episode, and then I will reveal our new party member, along with the vote totals for the top 3 vote getters. I think this will be exciting. I think it's a good idea because we could really use one of these Pokemon on our lineup for the endgame. And yeah, I hope you guys agree, and I hope you guys vote. That's most important. Like I said, literally any reason, you can vote for them. Alright, that's going to be it from me for now. Next time on Pokemon Reborn, we will continue with the actual story content.